No worries at all.
Alrighty, so let's start today's class by coming into a maybe seated position if you're taking it from the chair. You're going to come to the ground. Let's come all the way down into a constructive rest, letting the feet be hip distance or even wider apart. And then the knees start to come together towards the center. Now you can let your hands rest on your lap or on your body. You can let them rest by the sides, palms out. Or really take any movement or relaxation position that feels good for you in this moment. Knowing that you can always make adjustments as your body needs. As we start to settle in here, I want you to ask yourself a question. How do you really feel today? And be honest with yourself. Where in your life might you feel a little out of balance lately? Or maybe it's mostly balanced, but how could you find a little give here or there to create even more balance? And as you begin to ponder these things, notice in your body and in your mind, if you start to notice any gripping or tension, and see if it's possible to let those feelings go, releasing those muscles and tensions. Start to take our breathing exercise for today, which is breathing in for a count of 3, 2, 1. And then we'll pause at the top for another 3, 2, 1. Finally, exhaling, doubling that exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll continue just that, like that, with that cycle. Breathing in for our count of 3, pausing and holding the air for a count of 3, and then extending the exhale to 6. This is an extremely balancing breath. And we can use it not only throughout our practice today, but even in everyday life to help bring a sense of balance to our emotions or nerves or even our heartbeat if we're feeling a little scattered. So we'll continue with that breath, 3, 3, 6. And as you lean into that breath, whether physically counting it or starting to find a more natural flow without focusing on the count, I want you to ask yourself once more, how can you create or find just a little more balance in your life? Are you doing too much? Are you giving too much? It's even possible to receive too much. How often are you blessed with a moment to pause, to reflect? Equanimity is a beautiful quality that's cultivated in mindfulness and meditation practice. It's a cultivation of a balanced heart and a balanced mind during the changing seasons of life. Equanimity is often described as a mountain in the midst of changing weather patterns. A mountain that remains strong, steady, and unwavering as the rain pours, sun shines, and the thunder cracks. We can be like that mountain, awake to the changing seasons of life, but remaining steady, strong, and balanced. Equanimity is that sense of okayness you feel after receiving bad news. It's an acceptance that life is filled with not only joy, but also sorrow and everything in between. And you accept things simply as they are. And you accept the changing seasons of life and remain balanced and steady, like your breath. We'll go ahead and start to release that breath if we're still taking the 3-3-6 breath, starting to allow our breathing to come into its natural flow. And then we'll take a moment to offer ourselves a little bit of gratitude that we took time out of our busy schedules, our busy week, to find ourselves here in this sacred space that we've created for ourselves today. And as you're ready, start to wiggle fingers and toes. We'll flutter the eyes open. If your knees are together in a constructive rest, go ahead and start to separate them, coming in to wide kneed constructive rest. And we're going to take a moment to just start to warm up our core muscles here. So if you're on the mat, we're going to take our right leg and we're going to start to send it up towards the ceiling. And if we're on the mat, you can either keep the left leg bent or you could send that left leg out long. It's up to you. And what we're going to do from the floor is we're going to imagine our lower abdominals curling up. So we're just going to shift the legs forward and down. I'll take that a few times at your own pace, curling those lower abdominals. It might lift a little, it might lift a lot. It's up to you. Now, if you're taking this from our chair pose, we're going to take it slightly different. Our hips are forward, our shoulders are back. You can even have a pillow behind you, and then hold on to your chair. And we'll start by lifting one knee up towards your chest and really feeling the contraction of that lower abdominal muscle as you do. One at a time. Or for more of a challenge, maybe lifting both knees at once. All right, we'll take 1 or 2 more breaths on this first side if you're on the mat. And then exhale to pause. Go ahead and let the bottom leg drop. And then let's scissor kick to switch to the other one. And then we'll take it just about the same amount of time on this side. And again, if you're in the chair, you're either going one and then the other, or maybe lifting both. Again, feel free to control how high you lift things, but we want to really focus on those lower abdominals. So all right, last time, exhale, release. Go ahead and set your legs long, either along the floor or in your chair, and then circle the arms up and overhead, taking it into a big full body stretch, maybe even wiggling fingers and toes. Great job. As we exhale, we'll release our hands by our sides. If we're on the mat, we're going to come into sitting on our knees and prep for camel pose. So if you like to use some blocks back by your heels, you're welcome to bring those back there now. And if you'd like a little cushioning under your knees, feel free to add a pillow, blanket, or block. Alrighty, you're seated in the chair. We want to make sure we're coming up to the edge of our chair. Our feet are in that 90-degree bend. There you go. And you're at the edge of your chair with a little bit of space. No matter whether you're in the chair or on the ground, we're going to inhale, let the arms float up and overhead. Reach those fingertips up. Now you have choices today. You can keep those hands wide, like a mountain majestically reaching towards the sun, or maybe you bring the hands together in a peak. We're going to revisit these mountain hands throughout our practice, so making sure to find what feels good for you and knowing you can adjust to anywhere in between. Alrighty, with that next inhale, go ahead and allow the hands to start to float down to either your hips, or if you're seated in the chair, bringing them onto the seat or the back of the chair. And on the floor, we're putting them in our jean pockets and squeezing our elbows together. We'll all begin to feel like there's a string on our belly button, pulling it forward, even if it's not arched yet. And then start to feel your chin rising. Maybe a little bit of a lean back. If you're in the chair, those hands are on the chair somewhere, pressing into the chair. And then you can either keep your hands on your hips, you reach them back towards your props or your heels. Really allowing that heart opener here. Maybe even imagine you're squeezing a grape up between your shoulder blades. Great job. Inhale to come back up to tall mountain arms. All right, now we're going to take our camel pose into a revolved twist. So we're bringing our right hand to our right hip. Slide it along the chair over towards the left or towards the left prop or heel. Sweep that left hand over towards the right side. With a little bit of a back bend and a twist, all in one. We're going to be twisting our torso and hips in all kinds of ways today. Inhale, come back through center. Mountain arms. Exhale, take it to the opposite twist. Great job. Inhale to come back through center. Exhale, bring it down through a prayer. All righty. Seated on the mat, we're going to come onto our hips, removing any props we don't need anymore. And we're going to come with our feet flat on the floor like constructive rest, and maybe bring the hands behind us for a little added support. Whether we're seated in the chair or on the floor, we're going to take a figure four. So bringing that right ankle maybe up towards that left knee if it's available. Flexing through the ankle, pulling the toes back towards the shin, letting the right knee fall out to the side. Go a little deeper on the floor, you can adjust how close your grounded foot is to your hips or how far away it is. Or you can also adjust through the hands by walking them closer to your body, pushing your heart closer to your foot. You're seated in the chair. You may not bring your knee all the way up, foot up all the way to the knee. That might not work, but you could always bring a prop under it, either close or far away from your other foot, letting that knee roll out just the same way, or even on the floor. And just like on the floor, to adjust it, just take a gentle lean forward, bringing your heart a little closer to the ankle. Great job. With our next inhale, come back up to a straight spine. If you've hinged forward at all, go ahead and back out of your foot and leg, your hands if you're on the mat. And then let's take a rock the baby leg. So grabbing our foot, grabbing our knee, and start to rock it a little left to right. You always can use your strap here that adds a little more length to your arms. As we explore the outer edges of our hip mobility here at the beginning of our class. Maybe even bring a hand down to the mat or your chair and roll out to the outer edges or upper glute. All right, you may be familiar where we're going to go from here, but we're going to find our heron's pose next. So maybe grabbing your strap or holding your leg or foot or ankle at any point. Begin to send your leg out in front of you, maybe to a 45-ish degree angle, as long as you can keep your spine straight. And if that means the leg lowers, that's fine as well. You can always have a bend in the knee. We're stretching through the back of the thigh muscle here. Great job. With our next exhale, go ahead and bring that foot down just so it rests on the ground. And we're going to add a twist here. So if you're using the strap, grab the strap with the opposite hand and bring your right hand behind you to the floor or to the chair. If you're not using the strap, you can bring your opposite hand just simply to the leg, anywhere from foot to heel, to knee, to thigh. It's up to you. And then we inhale, lift it back into that 45-ish degree angle. Noticing how it feels to add the twist to it. Great job. Go ahead and release that foot down. Feel free to shake or wiggle. And then let's take that side too. We start with our figure 4. Making any adjustments so that it feels good in our body. But noticing that this side might feel completely different than the other side, and making sure we're listening to the cues that our body is giving us in this moment. Maybe with each breath, you can sink a little closer towards that shin. Exhale to release. Inhale, find your rock the baby leg. And start to rock your leg left to right. Be in elbows, hands, or strap. Or you could simply be holding your pant leg. That's all that's available. And again, you're always welcome to roll to the outer glute or upper hip. Like I said, we're going to be spending some time in our hips and this area, so really give it some love here. And then when you're ready, we find our heron pose. Mindful of the straightness of our spine. Keeping it engaged through the core. All right, exhale to release, and then we're going to take it into that revolved, twisted position. So taking the opposite hand, anywhere from hip to foot or on your strap, taking the same hand, bringing it behind you to the floor of the chair, we come into our twisted heron. Great job. One last breath here. Exhale to release back through center. We're going to bend our legs long. If you're on the mat, maybe even add a pillow or a blanket under the knees for just an added little bit of support. As we inhale, we're going to really take those arms up to that great big mountain of arms. And then with our exhale, let's hinge it down into a forward fold. We always want to be mindful if we have osteoporosis or osteopenia that when we're taking this kind of forward fold, we're aiming our heart towards our toes. And this helps keep those lower vertebrae just a little bit straight. Now, if that's not an issue in your body, you are always welcome to curl and round chin to chest. taking it even deeper into the forward fold. Feel your breath here. Great job. Take a slow roll up to a straight spine. All right. We're on the mat. We're going to send our right leg long and we're going to tuck our left leg into the inner thigh. Now, if you want to bring a prop back under the knee, taking just a slightly different variation of a pose we take normally, you're welcome to give that a try. A block could also work really well. We're taking this from our chair. We're going to open our left knee, the side as a counterbalance, and then start to send the right leg out long to the side. We can keep the toes planted or lift the toes up, have a bend in your knee or straighten it out. It's up to you. No matter where we're at, we're going to inhale, lengthen our spine, start to twist towards our extended leg, and then take it into a forward fold, bringing our nose down towards our knee. All right, we're going to pause in our forward fold. We're going to leave our left hand right where it is, on our leg or on the floor next to the leg. And then I want you to take your right hand and start to twist it either behind you or up, taking your forward fold into a little bit of a twist. Great job. Inhale back through center. And let's set up for second side. Sending left leg out long. Adjusting right leg either to the side or to tuck it into your thigh. We inhale to lengthen our spine. Exhale to twist towards our extended leg. And then in your own time, find a hinge in a forward fold. Letting your forehead come down towards your knee. Again, being mindful of the lower spine if that's an issue in your own body. Great job. Our inhale leaves the right hand where it is. And we begin to take that left hand back and twist. Beautiful job. Inhale back through center. And let's find our way on up to standing. Coming in our own time and in our own way. And for our first round of sun salutations, if you'd like to use props for steadying yourself, it's great to keep one nearby, but we'll make sure we have enough space to also move freely with our arms as we start to get into just a little bit of a flow state here. So we'll come into our mountain pose, planting our feet, feeling those roots. And then as we inhale, feel the energy travel up your body as you come into that tall mountain position of your choice. Again, those hands can wide, together, or anywhere in between. And with our next exhale, we're going to start to hinge over to the right. Your hands can stay together. You can drop your right hand to your hip or to a prop. Inhale back through center. Exhale to the left. Beautiful job. Back through center. Now listen carefully. We're going to take it into a twist. But as we do, we're going to allow our hands to come down, peeling like petals of a flower as they come towards our hips. And we'll build on this just a little bit later. Inhale to come back through center. Exhale, twist it to the left. Let the arms peel down. Inhale back through center. Exhale, let the hands float to the lower back. Take your bind, whichever bind feels good for you. Interlacing fingers, grabbing opposite elbows. If arms don't come together, you can take an airplane arms, just keeping those hands back by the hips. Wherever you're at, it feels good. Draw the knuckles down, lift the heart, squeeze those shoulder blades. Lift the chin. Beautiful. Release your bind. Inhale, tall mountain. Exhale, prayer through the center line as you bend and hinge into your first standing forward fold. Hands can come to your props, your legs, or the floor. Keep a generous bend in the knees and maybe grab opposite elbows as we take a ragdoll here. Sliding the jaw and taking any movement your body would like. Great job. Find just a little bit of stillness. Release the hands to your previous location. Inhale, halfway lift, figure 7. Exhale to hinge and fold. Bend the knees, sink the hips, take your slow roll all the way to tall mountain. Beautiful job. Drop your hands into a prayer. And we'll finish and complete our sun salutation. Wonderful job. All right, let's go ahead and come from our mountain, stepping our right foot back for a high lunge. Now you're always welcome to drop that knee if that feels better for your practice, or keep both knees lifted. Wherever we're at though, we're squeezing our thighs, we're pulling our belly button towards our spine, we're engaged through the upper body, hands can rest on a prop of your choice, or maybe start to lift into the air. Great job. Our next inhale, we're going to come into a runner's lunge or a half runner's lunge, depending on where we're at. So if we're standing, we're going to straighten both legs. And if we're on the mat with one knee down, we'll shift the weight back and peel the toes back as we straighten that front leg. No matter whether you're on the mat or standing, our next exhale hinges us over that front leg into our half or full runner's stretch. You're feeling it strongly in the ligament of the knee, you're always welcome to add a gentle bend, moving the stretch into that thigh muscle. Beautiful job. Inhale to halfway lift from wherever you're at. And then we're going to take this into a twist, walking our right hand over to the left side or to the left leg, and then twisting and opening that left hand either behind us or out to the side, depending on where we're at. Great job. Let's inhale, roll back through our high or low lunge. And then let's take that back into our mountain pose as we step the back foot. Feel free to take any movement you need. Side 2. Left foot goes back. Build your foundation just like a mountain, rooting through the ground, letting the energy rise through the body. And eventually letting the hands find their location, lifted or on a prop. Squeezing thighs towards each other. Whenever we're in lunges or warriors, we want to imagine our thighs are pulling towards each other. This keeps active movement in our lower body. Great job. One last breath here. Inhale, straighten both legs or come into half runner stretch. Exhale, hinge and forward fold. Next exhale, sink it a little deeper into it. Great job. Inhale, halfway lift. Now let's take it to the twist. Left hand comes over towards the right side or the right leg, and we twist the hand either behind us or up. Great job. Exhale to release through your lunge, high or low. And then let's find a way to step it back into our mountain, getting it in our own time or in our own way. Beautiful job. All righty. For this next pose, we're gonna come back into our sun salutation, but just add a little bit more to it. So we'll start in our mountain pose. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge to the right. Back through center to the left. Back through center. Now here's a point where we're going to add just a little something, a little balance challenge here. For more stability, feel free to use a low prop like a block or your chair to support your foot. For less of a challenge, or more of a challenge, keep your toe on the floor, lift onto the heel and ball. And for most challenge, lift the knee all the way up to hip height. And as we do this, turn towards our right, letting those hands peel down like flower petals. That front hand can capture the leg if you'd like it. The back hand reaching behind you. Great job. Inhale to come through center. Exhale, let's take it side two, beginning to lift the knee as much as you'd like. Letting the arms flow down like petals. Maybe capturing the knee if you'd like. Little twisty balance challenge. Great job. Come back through center. Peel it through a prayer pose all the way into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, sink the hips, tall mountain. Once the hands reach overhead, lean it back, pushing hips forward into a standing back bend. Exhale to release, hands to your bind, but switch it up. Make the funny thumb on top or make it awkward in some weird way. Not the mountain can't be amazing every time. Sometimes there's got to be some awkwardness as well. Draw the knuckles down to the floor, lift the heart, lift the chin. You're doing a beautiful job. Inhale, release. Exhale, let's bring it down through center into our mountain pose. Beautiful job. From here, let's do a warrior sequence next. So we'll take our right leg, we'll step it back, letting the toes open to the side. We'll bend into that front knee. And then you can always keep one hand on a prop or maybe start to lift both hands up to shoulder height. Pulling fingers in opposite directions. And once again, squeezing that grate between your shoulder blades. Make sure you're feeling nice and steady. Again, pulling thighs towards each other. You're doing great. And let's add just a little flow here. Taking hand to back hip. Front hand can come to a prop or lift up in the air. And then that back hand is always welcome to slide down the back leg if you'd like. Beautiful job. Inhale to pinwheel the arms. We're going to circle them into our side angle. Hand or elbow can come to prop or front leg as we circle that back hand up towards the ceiling or maybe alongside the ear. Great job. Pinwheel the arms back for warrior two. And then we're going to lift that back heel, high lunge, step it up, mountain pose. Take a few steps if you'd like. And then we'll take that on side two. Left foot back. Inhale, open arms, squeeze the grate. Maybe even feel yourself pulling those muscles towards each other. You're doing great. Sink it in a little deeper. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Then our high lunge. Step it up. Great job. All right, one more time through our sun salutation, adding on just a little bit. All right, inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge to the right. Through center. To the left. Through center. Now you can keep that bent knee version that we just did. Or for more of a challenge, maybe an extended leg version for this twist. So as we twist towards the right, lifting the right leg, long or bent, and taking that back hand behind you. And again, you're always welcome to use your strap. If you like to use a strap for this kind of thing, or have your leg resting on a prop. Great job. Let's come back through center. Side two. Lifting opposite leg or knee, bent or straight. As we twist towards the left. Last breath here. Exhale to release. All righty, big, beautiful breath. Come back into your mountain pose. From here, we're going to come into a lizard lunge of our choice. So the right foot is going to come to the right side of our mat with the toes out to the side. If you're using a prop like a chair for support, that's great, but go ahead and step that leg, left leg back a little or a lot. And you can stay high on the chair or come down a little bit lower, sinking into the hips a bit more. If your practice and body allows, you are welcome to take your lizard lunge from a deeper position, keeping that back knee lifted, or maybe dropping it to the mat. You can bring props under your hands, like blocks. That could be really nice. You can keep your sole of the foot on the floor, or just like in that figure 4, you can let the knees start to fall out to the side. And either staying high on the hands or coming down onto the elbows. And that's true whether you're on the floor or in the chair. Allow yourself to sink into that right hip here. Great job. One more breath here. You lower down onto elbows, bring hands under your shoulders to floor or prop, and then keep opposite hand on the floor, twist the top hand towards the ceiling. You see a theme today? Exhale, release. All right, we'll find our way to second side. So if you're on the floor with the knee grounded, you could come through a tabletop as a great transition. And any other variation you can take on, get there in your own way, whatever way that is. This time the left knee tracks out to the left, staying on the balls of the feet or rolling to the outside edge. Staying high on the hands or coming down into the elbows. Sinking into those hips as much as you can. Beautiful job. One last breath here. You came down to elbows, come on up to hands. We're going to take it into that twist. So the right hand stays where it is. Left hand twists behind you and up. Great job. Exhale to release. Step it into your mouth. All righty. It's going to be a slight divergence here. If you're going to be doing chair / standing poses, we'll come to the wall or a surface like a wall that's flat and at least as tall or as tall as your shoulders. You're going to take this one from the floor. We're going to actually come down maybe onto our bellies or into a tabletop. It's really up to you and what feels best in your bodies. So this is a bow tie arm stretch. And it's gonna be very similar to our eagle arms. We're gonna bring our right arm under our left arm. And then if we're in the wall, we're gonna walk or lean towards the wall, pulling our fingers in opposite directions. And we feel that area that we've been squeezing a grape all day start to stretch apart as your weight goes against that wall. Now, if you're taking it from the floor, same arm position. But you allow your weight to fall into the floor from either belly pose or more like a child's or tabletop option as well. It's a great option. Now, whichever of these options you're choosing, if you don't feel like you're able to get that stretch between the shoulder blades, maybe rethink which option you chose and find the one in your body that allows you to stretch that space of skin. You can even rest your forehead on a block if you're taking it from the floor to add just a little neck support. We'll take one more breath here. Inhale to back away from the lean. Switch the bottom hand to the top. Sink it back in. Beautiful breath. Inhale to release. Coming maybe to a tabletop if you're on the floor, pushing away from the wall. And then if you're taking chair poses, we'll come back into our seated position. And if we're on the mat, we're going to take a pigeon pose. So we'll draw the right knee up by the right wrist and then walk the right foot over to the left side of the mat. Begin to send that back leg long. This doesn't feel good for you. You can always take a reclined figure four, coming onto your back. And then if you're in the chair, we're coming back to that figure four from the chair that we took at the beginning of class. But we're taking a moment to notice how it feels. Does it feel any different now than it did when we were here before? Obviously, the pigeon's going to feel quite different than a figure four, even though it's stretching the same muscles, but maybe noticing those differences if that's available. And as we come back into our cool down portion of our practice, maybe using that 3-3-6 breath to start to steady and balance your heartbeat and your breathing. Beautiful job. All right, let's exhale to release. Take it to side two. Again, if you're on the mat, maybe you move through a tabletop and reset. Bring that arm you're on your back, wherever you're at. You're doing great. Sink it in for a few breaths. All right, go ahead and come on out of that. Back into a tabletop if you're on the mat. And then we're going to come over onto our hips. And let's come down onto our backs. If you're on the chair, come into a reclined position with your hips forward and your shoulders back. Keep your feet about hip distance apart and start to roll through the hips, taking it on a nice windshield wiper. Letting all that integration into our hips start to really sink in here. You can move fast or slow, whatever your body's calling. Beautiful job. Alrighty, you're on the mat. I want you to grab either a pillow for a softer option or a block. We're gonna inhale, lift the hips and slide the prop of our choice under our hip for a supported bridge prep. Let the hips come down and then inhale to curl both knees towards your chest, coming into just an itty bitty shoulder stand here. You can keep the knees together. You can let them fall out to the sides. You could even take the feet up towards the ceiling. It's a moment for you to have some yogi playtime. Now, if you're on the seated position, that would be much harder to do. So what we're gonna do instead, we're gonna open our feet up and knees up just a little bit wider. And then as we exhale, we're gonna round our torso down in between our legs. Maybe even starting to reach the forehead down towards the mat. Now you can keep your hands on your legs or you can let them fall over the side of your legs. So you're also creating a nice, beautiful, rounded shape in your body. Let's take 3 beautiful breaths here. Maybe even that 3-3-6 breath. Great job. All righty, no matter where you're at, slowly start to unwind, coming out the same way you went in. We'll be in constructive rest on the floor and on our chair. Our hips are forward, our shoulders are back. Go ahead and take one more windshield wiper of the knees, left to right. And then let's end class very similar to how we started class, not with that lower abdominal tilt, but let's send the hands out long and stretch the arms out overhead. Really make yourself long from toes to fingers, maybe even wiggling those jazz hands at the top of your mat. And then with a great big old sigh, let the hands circle down by your hips. And feel free to move into your final resting pose of choice. As always, welcome to add any props or come into legs up to the wall or move to a couch or a bed nearby. It's really up to you how you create this moment of sanctuary for yourself. Allow yourself to start to settle in here. Maybe you close your eyes. And maybe you allow your breathing to become a little more intentional. As you settle in, start to pay attention to the physical sensations of the contact to the surfaces that support you. Finding a position of not only rest, but also stability and poise. Your weight hanging heavy like curtains in your body, stable and relaxed. And when you're ready, if you haven't already, close your eyes or simply soften your gaze. Bringing your awareness to your breath, the actual physical sensations. Feeling each breath as it comes in and goes out. Allowing it to flow easily and naturally with its own rhythm and pace. As you sit here, begin to let an image form in your mind's eye. The most magnificent or beautiful mountain you know, or have seen or could even imagine. Letting it gradually come into greater focus. And even if it doesn't come as a visual image, allowing the sense of this mountain and feeling its overall shape, its lofty peak or peaks high in the sky, the large base rooted in the bedrock of the earth's crust, its steep or gently sloping sides. Notice how massive it is, how solid, unmoving, how beautiful, whether from up close or even far away. Perhaps your mountain has snow blanketing its tops and trees reaching down to the base, or rugged granite sides. Maybe there are streams and waterfalls cascading down the slopes. Maybe there's one peak or a series of peaks. Or maybe there's meadows or high lakes. But observe it. Note the qualities of your mountain. As you observe it, can you begin to feel this mountain's energy shifting towards your body? As you rest here, your body and the mountain in your mind's eye become to share their energy. You share in the massiveness and the stillness and the majesty of the mountain. You become the mountain. Your head becomes like the lofty peak, supported by the rest of the body and affording a gorgeous panoramic view. Your shoulders and arms like the sides of the mountain. Your glutes and legs a solid base, rooted to your place. Experiencing in your body a sense of uplift from deep within to the very top. With each breath, become a little more of a breathing mountain, alive and vital, yet unwavering in your inner stillness, completely what you are, beyond words and thoughts, centered, grounded, unmoving presence. And as we rest here, become aware of the fact that as the sun travels across the sky, the light and the shadows and the colors are changing virtually moment by moment in your mountain stillness. The surface teems with life and activity, streams, melting snow, waterfall, plants, and wildlife. As the mountain sits, seeing and feeling how night follows day and day follows night. A bright warm sun followed by a cool night sky, studded with stars. And the gradual dawning of a new day. And through it all, the mountain simply sits, experiencing change in each and every moment, constantly changing, yet always just being itself. It remains still as the seasons flow into one another, and as the weather changes moment by moment and day by day, calmness abiding, all change. In summer, there is no snow on the mountain except perhaps for the very peaks or in the crags shielded from direct sunlight. In the fall, the mountain may wear a coat of brilliant fire. In winter, a blanket of snow and glimmer. In any season, it may find itself at times enshrouded in clouds or fog, or pelted by freezing rain and hail. People may come to see a mountain and comment how beautiful it is, or how it's not a good day to see the mountain. It's too cloudy or rainy or foggy. But none of this matters to the mountain, which remains at all times its essential self. Clouds may come, clouds may go. Tourists may like it or not. The mountain's magnificence and beauty are not changed one bit by whether people see it or not. Seen or unseen, in sun or clouds, broiling or frigid, day or night. The mountain simply sits, being itself. At times visited by violent storms, buffeted by snow and rains and winds of unthinkable magnitude. Through it all, the mountain sits. Spring comes, trees leaf out, flowers bloom in the high meadows and slopes. Birds sing in the trees once again. Streams overflow with the waters of melting snow. And through it all, the mountain continues to sit, unmoved by the weather, by what happens on its surface, by the world of appearances, remaining its essential self through the seasons, through the changing weather, and the activity ebbing and flowing on its surfaces. In the same way, as we sit or rest in meditation, we can learn to experience the mountain, and we can embody the same central, unwavering stillness and groundedness in the face of everything that changes in our own lives, over seconds, over hours, and over years. In our lives and in our mindfulness practice, we experience a constantly changing nature of mind and body and of the outer world. We have our own periods of light and darkness, activity and inactivity, our moments of color, and even moments of drabness. And it's true that we also experience storms of varying intensity and violence in the outer world and in our own minds and bodies, buffeted by high winds, by cold and rain. We endure periods of darkness and pain, as well as moments of joy and uplift. Even our appearance changes constantly, experiencing a weather all our own. By taking in the energy of the mountain in our meditation practice, we can link up with its strength and stability and adopt them as our own. We can use its energies to support our energy and to encounter each moment with mindfulness, equanimity, and clarity. The weather of our own lives is not to be ignored or denied. It is to be encountered, honored, felt, known for what it is, and held in awareness. And in holding it in this way, we come to know an even deeper silence and stillness and inner wisdom. Mountains have so much to teach us, and even more if we allow them to. So if you find you resonate in some way with the strength and stability of the energy of the mountain, it may be helpful to use it from time to time, to draw it to remind you of what it means to sit mindfully with resolve and wakefulness and true stillness. We'll take the deepest breath of our day so far, integrating all that balance and stability. And then when you're ready, begin to wiggle fingers and toes. Start to flutter the eyes open. Take any movement or stretches to wake the body up. And then in your own time and in your own way, come up to an upright position facing me. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. As always, it's been an honor to lead you through these meditations and movements. I hope you have a great couple of weeks ahead of you. Next week is off week. You're welcome to come to Friday's class if you would be available. Otherwise, I'll see you the following week. Thank you so much.
Bye, Lindy.